Let me get on our streamy. Femi.
Just started it, so.
All right.
Oh, look at that. We should be
There
live.
we go. Yep, we are live.
Yeah, I downloaded an antivirus to check out some, just to make sure I didn't have a virus because I had some really weird stuff happening. And, yeah, let me just say I didn't
you mean
have
other than Windows Defender?
that's usually deactivated. Windows Defender's anemic at best.
Really? Most IT guys that I know say it's more than sufficient.
I just downloaded Kaspersky, I think it is, for malware. Yeah, and I got that, and it gives me a pop-up every time something's about to use my webcam, and that's great. But it's so in the way. It's so annoying. Welcome to the stream. Holy crap, we just filled up with 3 people, just like that.
I'm one of them.
To the stream, everybody. Today, the one thing, there's a bit of a fly in the soup for these new M1 Macs. I don't want to spoil too much about the video on Monday, but boy, oh boy, their system, the way they have their RAM and their hard drive soldered in is a problem.
Yeah, well, they've said that for years. I mean, they're
You
like,
could upgrade the hard drive before, and the hard drive's the problem now.
because they're soldered on.
Yeah.
And they removed the lifeboat connector. So if if your system fails, you are fucked.
Yep.
Is just, there's no, as again going back to our pal Lewis, who doesn't know we exist.
Yeah.
He's given Apple shit. There's no reason to do that. There was no reason to cut that off. I mean, you're saving what, 10 cents maybe?
Yep. Oh, the best thing about it, and I got this from a Lewis Rossman video. So without giving away what the problem is, I'm sure Dylan will be able to figure out pretty quick. When your RAM fills up, what happens to your computer? When your RAM is basically pinned, what happens to your computer?
Like when you run out of memory?
Yeah.
Bad things. Usually, I get the what do they call it? Kernel panic.
Kernel panic. But most of the time, your computer just slows down. When your RAM,
if it's like absolutely like packed to the teeth with stuff and it has no wiggle room at all, which I don't like unless you're running, I don't know, like 8 gigs of RAM and trying to do 4K video editing. That shouldn't be really an issue.
But here's the thing: you can do 4K video editing with the new M1, and it's seamless. Oh my God, is it ever seamless? It's so nice.
Of course it would be.
But what happens when you have the base model that only has 8 gigs of RAM and you're doing 4K video? What do you think the overflow is?
Don't get the base model then.
No, just wait. What's the overflow for those 8 gigs of RAM?
Well, page file.
Nope. SSD.
A page file on the SSD.
Oh, page file on the SSD. So I'm not going to give away the ending of why that's a problem, but when your SSD is soldered into your computer, videos coming Monday. It's fantastic.
As we know, SSDs have a finite number of write cycles.
And what happens when you have a set of RAM that's writing to it?
On a PC, disabling page file is really easy. I know there's a lot of PC haters in here, but it's very well documented how to disable the page file.
Yeah, but if you get enough RAM, if you get 32 gigs of RAM, you don't need it.
I'm running 64 gigs of DDR4 here. I'm fine. But like... I think if you're doing video editing, you should go for at least 16.
But this is a problem that is going to be plaguing the new M1 Max. And I've been waiting because we've got the MacBook Air, the M1 MacBook Air, which is a base model, which is fine, still runs all the programs great.
See, I disagree with Bangs. I think a hard drive dying is more exciting because you get like the sound of the write head grinding into the platters, which for me is a lot more satisfying of a sound.
I don't actually have chat. What the hell's going on? How do I not have chat playing?
You've missed nothing. There's only one comment from Bangs saying,
hey everybody, feel free to chat. I'm actually going to get it up on my phone, but the idea of the Mac... like being able to do 4K video with a 8 gigs of RAM is impressive. I don't care who you are.
It's very efficient, but I mean, you're tickling the sleeping dragon's tail there a little, I think.
Tickling the sleeping dragon's tail.
That's a Demon Core reference.
My goodness, that's fantastic. it's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people realize that is probably the hardest thing for a lot of PCs to do is where's the chat? Where's the chat? Why don't I have any chat here?
I don't know. I'm getting chat. I mean, just 2 things, but I'm still getting things. I've told a law firm an SSD died. It got very exciting. Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, if they serve you a subpoena, or what, if they're trying to acquire information and it just failed. I may have supplied 64 volts in a place that 64 volts shouldn't have gone, but it still failed. I don't know why.
All right, so I'm gonna try to refresh this page. So let's see if we stay on here. I should, because we're live streaming from OBS. There we go. There we go.
It got very exciting. It was their drive.
So did the stream black out there for you, Dylan?
Nope.
Oh, perfect.
No, not.
All right.
Not at the moment.
Sweet. Yeah, so the big problem with the M1s. Now, I'm waiting. We've got the MacBook Air laptop, and I'm looking to go for the M1X or M2 Mac Mini. That's my goal. I want to get the Mac Mini. I want to have a secondary Mac computer here along with my computer. I want to build a new PC, but you can't build a new PC these days.
Oh, God.
So this is kind of the backup.
I just saw, plug on Linus. I just saw a WAN show clip the other day about how there's like a chip shortage.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like now, and all of the different like consumer electronics have been going through the inflation, and now it's at the TVs. Like now, a basic ass TV is like $3,000. It's like what is happening?
Yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
It's the kind of stuff that's going to be killing off a lot of the interest in this stuff, like building your own computers. Who's going to build their own PCs?
I agree with Bangs. If I've learned one thing, and this isn't just an Apple thing, this is like kind of an every manufacturer thing. The first generation of every product is horrible. I mean, I had the first generation Apple Watch, and the battery blew up.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just
like,
getting Apple Care.
Wait for the M3 or the M4.
No, I'm just getting Apple Care.
I got Apple Care. My watch was 3 years old, and it did nothing for me.
Well, Apple Care only lasts 2 years.
Apple Care? No, Apple do not care.
Apple 3 years on any device is your max, dude. Like whether it's cell phone, Apple Watch, laptop, it doesn't matter. 3 years. Anything beyond 3 years is luck, and just thank your lucky stars.
I mean, again, I'm looking at my PC here, which is built by myself. Granted, but this PC is coming on 12 years old.
Yeah, that's impressive,
And I still use it. And you know what? At this point, I don't know if it's so much luck. Again, are there some things about it that I would like to change? But given what we have to deal with in the market right now, I think I'll just stick with it.
I'm glad I built when I did. I built first gen Ryzen, and I've got a 1066 gig, and people are like, the 1066 gig brand new right now. I've seen them selling for like $900,
which is hilarious because I
bought it for
old.
$300. Like, come on! I'm wearing,
and it's a good card. I mean,
no, it's fantastic. It plays all the games. It does all the stuff. I want the HVAC encoding with the new RTX cards. They have an HVAC encoder that allows you to stream or to encode video or to do all that, and apparently it's a lot nicer and a lot faster. But I'm not going to be getting that this year.
Bangs is apparently still wearing his first gen. See, my Apple Watch still technically works, but I just noticed one day the screen like unglued itself and it just popped out a little bit from the. I'm like, what the? And then I just gently moved the ribbon cable aside and saw the battery had started to inflate. I'm like,
God. That's not. Yeah, they've had some battery issues. I do know.
Well, honestly, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, look at the clearance of a tiny little sealed device like that, and the battery's like wedged in there with 60,000 other things. Like, didn't really surprise me.
My wife has the 3rd gen. That watch has been going strong. Like, there no issues with.
Oh yeah,
3rd gen.
I don't doubt it. And what are they at now? Like 6th gen or something?
Yeah, I think so.
And they're, I mean, again, they always get better, but that's why, like, I'd always be like, my new iPhone's got the SoC, the A14 Bionic. That's the 14th generation. I think it's probably they've had 14 times.
They've had 14 years basically. No, because the A12 was in 2 generations of chips.
And they've released like they've released one version, like the standard will have one, like the whatever, the A9, and then the Pro will have like the A10. They'll try and do product separation that way. I've seen that. I think back in the iPhone 10 was that way.
Yeah. Well, anyways, next week I plan on covering the WWDC for Apple. I'm going to be lighting up my Twitter. This is something that if I'm going to be a tech channel, I need to be able to play along on Twitter. I need to be able to play along with breaking news. I need to be able to do that.
Gotta be relevant.
I might not be able to get the stuff immediately, but I need to be able to hey, this is cool.
Hey, Aiden, see if you get this reference. You gotta be in the now. You gotta be in the now.
I know where it's from. Where is that from? Is that
It's somebody that we both know that we may have been taught by in school.
Oh, Dan Polanen. Yeah. Yeah, but what's the now?
What's the now? And honestly, as much as we make fun of the delivery, it's a valid point.
Yeah, everything he said was true. Mm-hmm. So the next microphone that I'm going to review is the Beta 58.
Nice.
I don't like
outside of 58A.
Beta 58A, sorry. And I got a comment from a gentleman, Never Call Me Again podcast, that does that podcast. And he messaged me today and he said, dude, you've been putting a little bit of history in about the mics before you jump into like the tests and all that. And he said, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
And it's fascinating because the reason I put that in is because I'm fascinated by the history of companies. Can't do much, like I couldn't do much with the Perception series, right? Like
there isn't much. It's a very recent product.
But when you're doing
most of Shure's stuff has some stories.
Yeah, the Beta 58A. I mean, they've got a website devoted to their history. Like they run a website devoted to their history.
Well, that's why, like when you and I did the collab about the 58 versus the 57 versus the SM7. In my snippet, I did this huge crash course on, where these capsule came from, where the mics came from.
Yeah, no, and I like that kind of stuff, and I didn't know if the audience liked it.
Well, yeah, it's always like, because some people are like, get to the point, like, just cut the shit. Yeah. Right? And it's like, I get it. Like, I get that.
But then I'm fascinated by the history of this stuff, so whether or not...
It's good to know people are into it, though.
I think I'm going to start having a little bit more, because... I'm also like, yes, bread and butter is doing mic reviews, but I do want to get into other stuff. I've got a few other videos that I've already got, like, do you need a cloud lifter? Do you need like that kind of stuff? And that's the stuff I do want to branch out, because I do find like Bandrew with Podcastage, he started a second channel to do a lot of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't really want to. I want to develop. I don't just want this channel to be mic reviews.
Yeah, you want to tie that into the brand.
Well, yeah, because technically it's a tech channel, and I've always been like between computers, microphones, and all that stuff. That's always kind of been my bread and butter. So I would like to expand, and I'm going to do it slowly so I don't have a lot of growing pains and people yelling at me for doing stuff. But stuff like the history of things, kind of including that in the videos, I'm kind of excited for that. So I'm going to try a little bit more. Bangs is still talking about his favorite microphone in the world. Love my Beta 58, lowest ambient noise from all my decent mics.
I never
use it. The 58A has a massive low-end roll-off built in. Yeah, the massive roll-off. I like when I did, because I ended up having to do the proximity effect test between the 58, the SM58, and the 58A, because the difference is so stark. Like there's hardly any proximity effect on that bloody microphone.
It's great on the 58A is great on acoustics in the sound hole. It's the one mic that I've used that actually can sit in that little sort of quasi Helmholtz resonator spot right in the middle, because normally that's the last place that you should ever mic an acoustic guitar, but because it's got that, because you get the woof, right? But with that roll off, any of that just absurd low end bass just naturally gets taken up by the mic, which is great.
Well, and that's the other thing that I kind of wanted to do with this channel going forward is I'm getting an acoustic, I've got an old 1974 Ibanez. It just buzzes like hell and it goes out of tune if you breathe on it. So it's going to, and I'm also getting an electric and an amp for doing some amping with the mics and stuff like that. So Mac's biggest problem, more dongles, I'm guessing.
Dongles.
Yeah. Y'all like the AKG 120.
Or maybe they're talking about more of the like the USB-C breakout things.
Yeah. Yeah,
More
dongles.
Dongles.
Yeah,
I like dangles.
Oh,
I'm gonna keep calling
dangles.
them
I guess
dangles.
dangles. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
good.
I call them dangles.
Abdullah Gashud. Y'all like the AKG 120? Yes.
Yep.
P120.
For the price, especially. Yep.
Check out the video. I do actually have comparisons up of the 120, 220, and 420.
Shameless plug.
Well, you might as well. You're here. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Stop in. Stay for a while.
I'm guessing he looked at the video and just went, maybe I'll ask on live and I don't have to watch it. Watch the video.
Most of it.
Should people have treated rooms while recording vocals? Dylan,
Yes.
do you want this?
Yes. 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 Now, that said, treating a room for vocals is actually not that hard. Treating vocals for other things like a bass amp, that's hard.
Yeah.
that requires some bass traps and some Helmholtz resonators.
So, if you have a little bit of room in your vocal recording in a song, how bad is that?
Depends on the song. I mean, some songs you can use it to your advantage. Some songs, like if it's a really loud songs, you can just gate it out. But if it's like a really quiet, subdued, like vampy tune, and you're singing vocals, and you've got a really boomy room, I would say your first plan of attack.
I mean a little bit of room. I don't mean a boomy room. I mean a little bit. Like
so like this room I consider to be quite roomy. And because out here in the atrium, I tend to use
atrium. In the atrium.
Here in my atrium.
Here in my atrium, yes, in my the concourse, out in the concourse. I tend to use dynamic mics all the time. I never use condenser mics out here. Condenser mics I use in the booth because these dynamic mics, ow, my arm. These dynamic mics really have solid rejection. So I don't have a lot of room problems if I treat the mics properly. But if you're using like a Neumann U87 in a big open untreated room, unless you're using it specifically as a room mic.
And you can use dynamic microphones to record vocals for an album. Like you can use the SM7B.
I have. I don't, to date, I don't think personally, clients is a different story, but stuff that I've put out under my own artist name, I don't think I've ever recorded vocals. Well, no, that's a lie. I've had a tube mic on a few. But most of them have been recorded via the SM7B, actually.
Yeah.
And on a pop song, which sounds perfect.
And you can use, actually, and I got called on this. Somebody actually messaged me, and they're like, the SM in SM58 means stage mic. Actually, no.
It actually means studio
mic. And this was released for studio use. The SM58 was actually intended for studio use.
Yeah, that's
funny. You can use it to record vocals with it.
I feel bad for that guy or person because they really tried to come in and bring some value to the table.
But
and
it was yeah, like
it just fell flat.
The dude had like 160,000 subs too, and like
oh shit.
I don't know if it was like a flex or whatever, but it was just like, no, it's actually, here's the link to the Shure page.
Yeah. So Bangs, yes, VO needs a dead room. Agreed. I think in general, you will not suffer recording vocals in a dead room, but I think in certain musical situations, you can get away with it more than with VO. The holding the U87 in the hand, no thanks. Especially, I was debating for a bit because one of the distributors in the area had a deal on the rhodium U87, which sounds the same, but the body is made of rhodium, which is super, super, super shiny.
How much is that?
It was actually less at the
really.
The regular price was like $5,500.
Yeah,
but the sale price was less than $3,000.
Wow.
So like they were just trying to get rid of it. So I was really like,
don't want this dirty thing
honestly,
around here.
They were so, like Neumann was so anal about it that they actually gave you Neumann brand handling gloves with the microphone in the case. So because this thing was literally like made, if you could imagine the body of a microphone being a mirror, that's what this thing was. And I just saw that and going, no.
Yeah, well, that does make sense.
Not the brushed nickel. I like the brushed nickel. I'll stick with that.
It's the standard, right? It's what you expect out of it.
All right, and it's no fingerprint issues.
Yeah, no kidding.
Great.
Dimebag Darren Lowe. Hey, how's it going? American Liberty, out of microphones, I've personally used my favorites of the RE20 for dynamic, Shure KSM27 for condenser. Should I get the Shure KSM 27?
I kind of want to get a Shure condenser just to see how their condenser game is, because Shure is a dynamic company.
Yeah.
That's what they make. That's their specialty. So I'm curious to see like the Beta 181, which is their sort of side address pencil, and the KSM. They have another one as well that I saw. I think it's the 47. And it's,
they've got a couple. And I don't want to buy a handheld condenser either. Like I just don't want a handheld condenser. Because I have this is Abdullah. I have a P120 and a Scarlett Solo. The 3rd gen, my vocals still sound muddy and low. Any suggestions? They really don't sound clear.
EQ them.
Yeah, see, Abdullah, when you record, especially something like vocals for music, actually VO, anything, you record anything into any microphone, you need to add an EQ curve to it.
You need to process it. You need dynamic, especially with voice. The voice is an overly dynamic instrument. We don't hear it acoustically because our ears have natural compression. Our brain processes stuff very compressed. But as to a microphone, the voice is really dynamic. So you need some dynamic compression, and you need minimal dynamic compression of some kind, some compression, and some EQing. I don't think I've ever had a vocal that I haven't processed with at least some amount of both of those things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Usually other things too, but those are the two things that you just can't.
There is very few. So the one microphone that I've used that needed the least amount of processing was the C414 XLS. Like that hardly needed any. But it still did need an EQ. It needed a little bit of compression.
Some mics, like even with the U87 or the V13, the Vanguard, the tube mic there. Both of them, I could get away with like a 3-band EQ, and I could get it kind of to where I wanted to get it without getting too pedantic. But other mics, like this RE20, I've got some scoops, and there's some resonances in here that need to be dealt with.
Broadcast mics tend to need a little bit more.
Right, well, they get this huge resonant body.
Yeah, they need a little bit more. Bang says podcastage handholds is U87.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's why we talk about that. It grosses me out.
No, he handholds a lot of microphones, and I don't like it when I'm doing a side-by-side.
I'll handhold it when I'm taking, because, noob mistake 101, never take a mic clip off the stand with the mic on it.
I do that all the time.
Don't do that.
I do it all the time. I don't know, like my NT2A, I always spin it off.
Oh,
but I've owned it so long, I know how long and I catch it every time. I've never dropped it, man.
Cringe.
Never dropped it. I was saved as a stage mic in Las Vegas. It almost failed. Oh, it was saved as a stage mic in Las Vegas. Nice. The Nevada sales rep saved the SM58 mic. I think I missed out on the conversation. Abdullah, because I have a P120 and a Scar. Oh, that's just the same one over again. And then Jen retracted a message, which...
See, I can't see that. You can see that because you're the guy.
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
Hi, Jen. Bye, Jen.
Bang says, enable the air on the Solo. This is... When I did the test on the Solo, I had the air on the whole time. I did like it. It was so just discreet. The lift it gave. It just gave it a nice airiness to it. It was obviously an EQ profile it was supposed to harken back to the good old tube-driven days and the kind of the nice airiness. I don't know. I watched a couple videos on it. It doesn't add a lot, but it does add just a little bit. It gets a little bit of the muddiness.
When I think of tube, air is not the word that comes to mind. I think creamy, warm, saturated. Air is not. I don't generally think of air. Depends on the tube. I mean, the 12AT7, which is the lower gain factor of the series, it's a little airiness. The AX7 has no airiness at all. In fact, it tends to add more saturation on hand. Anyway, digression. Moving on.
Yeah. Oh no, it was nice. I liked it. It added a nice little clarity to the spoken word, I found. So I didn't mind it that much, but I don't know how much it's not going to revolutionize
it's kind of like beside me here I've got some Audient preamps, and my SM7 goes through them, and I got these. This is the cheaper model, and it's got 2 switches on it, HMX and iron, and they're in addition to the regular, your gain knob and your low pass and your phantom power and all that crap. But it was interesting because they are designed to be, they're analog circuits, both iron but they're designed to add color and they've got a knob associated with them. So HMX is supposed to simulate tube, and iron is supposed to simulate like a Neve, like a transformer-driven preamp. And it is interesting to play with those knobs and get some different colorations to your pre's. But I found the HMX injects a ton of noise, and it's like, well, I thought the whole idea of this being a simulated tube was that it doesn't have the downsides of fucking tube.
Well, I mean, but that noise is in itself, it can be something.
I'll just sit in front of the mic and I'll just go like this for 20 minutes. There, that's all the noise I need.
Bang says, I've been thinking of pulling up my desk rack in the DBX EQ and compressor gate for the summer, but the heat will kill the AC. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't do any inline anything. I don't have a rack. I think I might be moving into that territory as I get into possibly recording more guitar and doing voiceover more. However, voiceover, I'm probably just going to be recording as dry as possible, and that's fine. So then I'm really struggling with what I need the EQ and the compression for at all.
But again, so I have a whole, the way my rig is set up is I've got, my arm. I've got all the digital stuff on one side, which is an entire 14 unit rack. And then I've got all the outboard processing on the other side. Yeah. So I've got, and so one example of where outboard processing is useful is right now in live situations where you can't process stuff in post.
Yeah.
So like this mic, I don't use this for VO. I use this for Teams and YouTube and Facebook video calls.
RE20 for Teams, you spoiled brat.
It's true though. I don't use unless for some reason the audience are being a pain and I can't, use the SM7 for some reason, which is, unlikely because it's right here all the time. But I will use the RE20, and it doesn't sound bad even with this processing on it. It doesn't
sound bad.
But I mean with the live process, like I'll leave the DBX on it, and it's and with a little, I still do a little processing in post. Like there is a DC bias on this DBX. I know because I look over at my Mackie when I'm not talking and the gate's on, and the meters are just stuck up it. I'm like, so there's some issues. Something's blown in there, which leads me to one of my points of this week.
Oh,
so I have a story. Recently, I have a master bus compressor here, a tube master bus compressor. It's not a very good one, but it is one that people talk about using, and it is versatile. And for the longest time, I wasn't using it because for about a year, I didn't use it. It was kind of sitting in the rack. And then when I got a chance to redo my rig and hook it back in again to use it more regularly, there's buzz. One of the channels just had a bunch of buzz, and I plugged an oscilloscope into it and just wanted to see the waveform to try and diagnose it. And just looking at it, and it was clear there was a capacitor dead somewhere. God. So I opened it up, and first thing I look for is blown vents and some spew across some of the, and there was nothing. There was none of the caps looked like they were criminals. So
recap the whole thing.
Fuck, man. And that's what it comes down to is I have to get a copy of the schematics, or I have to start desoldering every capacitor, because you can't gauge capacitance on a capacitor in line. You have to physically desolder them because it'll throw off your readings. So I was like, and there's probably 50 caps inside that compressor.
Yeah, but that'll cost you $100. Just recap it. They cap the whole thing.
Yeah, but no. So anyway, I just left it. And like on the last weekend, it just magically was fine. I magically looked down and there was nothing on the meter. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to test this. So I set it up as a master bus compressor, ran a mix through it, and was doing some tweaking and listening to it. I was like, man, this thing is master ready, but this makes me nervous because it's a problem that just went away. And problems don't just go away.
I don't trust that one bit.
So now I'm afraid to turn it off because I'm afraid I'm going to turn it back on and I'm going to see that problem again. But I know at some point I'm probably going to have to either recap it myself or give it to a shop and they'll do it.
Clean it. It might just be.
Oh, it's clean. When I opened it up to diagnose, I went through and cleaned because I wanted to see, because there's some areas where on a lot of audio gear they end up using like this rubber compound to cement some of the components in so they don't move around. And so it had a bunch of that, but some of the areas were discolored, so I was kind of sweeping with some solvents to try and see, okay, is this part of the goo or is this something else?
Yeah, that stuff's a pain.
Yeah, it is.
Jen says, I got new glasses last week, made a phone interview yesterday, and noticed when I play it back, my headphones leaked sound into my microphone. That sucks. What I would say is definitely turn your headphones down when you're recording.
And make sure you're using closed back and not open back headphones.
Yeah, I think, he mentions the glasses, so I'm guessing it was just the new, he hadn't quite had the glass indent, because that actually does leak quite a bit until you get it. I got these new glasses last year, I think it was, and it took them about a week, but I just made sure I wore these I wore them all the time until it actually indented in. So
there might be an idea for somebody to come up with a product there, like some kind of adapter that allows you to because there's some that aren't going to bend that way.
This just does this. You just flip them up on top. Sorry, you can't see anything. Why did I think you can see me?
Oh, no, I just check because I got the stream open, right?
Oh,
so
because you're a few seconds behind.
Yeah.
The cozies do work, but I find especially in the summer.
the way you just did it, that works. But I'm thinking if you have trifocals or something, that would screw up your.
Oh no, I'm not getting I need bifocals. I am not getting bifocals. That is the sign of the end. Those are end times. That is like the book of Revelation in your life right there. It's like you need bifocals. Okay, yeah, you're done.
Or trifocals. I have a few elder friends that have some trifocals.
The bifocals themselves cost $500. That's just the process of putting the
lens itself.
Yeah. Because you're not getting the line in your glasses. You're not going to do that. You're going to get the seamless ones, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Screw
the transitional phase.
The only reason I need them is if I look at something really close, like super close or really small lettering, I've got to flip my glasses up to read it. Mm. So instead of paying $500, why don't I just flip my bloody glasses up onto my head? I make my own bifocals. Bangs? Damn. I want to know how you make your own. You're gonna mess with me here.
He just puts epoxy on the bottom.
Grinds it off a bit. Grind it down and buff it. It'll be fine.
He takes a big gob of transparent epoxy and puts it at the bottom of the lens.
Just flip your glasses up if it's that big of a deal.
That's hardcore though.
Yeah, if you're a sweater, Jan, or if it's warm, just be careful with the ear pads.
These stupid faux leather ear pads, I hate them.
They're brutal. I do have to say, the cheaper the headphones, the less give they have in the ears, so they'll gap a lot longer. These things have closed off a long time ago, though. And the more expensive the ear pads, the quicker they kind of gap up. Bifocals means the difference between totally blind and legally blind. Holy crap! So you got the big glasses there, Bangs.
The bubbles.
Well, I'm just blind. I can't drive without my glasses, but I'm fine everything else. So I just wear them 24/7 because it's easier to see things like the TV.
Why wouldn't you?
Nicer. Why wouldn't
you wear them? Why wouldn't you wear them all the time if it makes life easy?
Glasses suck.
Oh, especially when you get all your ear gunk and crap and you got to clean them all the time.
Well, it's also they stop all the dirt right behind your ear. So like when you have dirt kind of seeping down from sweat or whatever, it holds it right behind your ear. So you actually get this is going to be gross, TMI, but it stinks.
Oh yeah, no, it does. Well,
it's gross.
Like any bodily, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just how it is. And when you don't have hair, like I shave my head, all the sweat goes straight down and right behind my ears. So glasses are gross. I don't want glasses. I love Wicked Cushions ear pads, less fond of brainwaves. I've never tried custom ear pads.
I mean, I was using the SRH 940s had amazing ear pads. The velour was awesome.
Really bougie, man. Like
it's bougie, but it's the kind of headphones you can have them on and for us in the biz, where you need to wear them for 6 hours straight.
Yes.
You don't notice these. I got this big ring of sweat already. This big ring of sweat all the way around my ear.
In mornings, I don't mind it because doing morning show, it's cool in the basement. But right now, you can see the sun's beating right in the window. And this room's warming up probably 6 to 8 degrees. And I've got the AC
I feel that.
on.
I don't. I turn it off because last time we had somebody complain. about the noise in the back of my recording.
It's an intense noise, man. You need
it
to get
is.
yourself
Well, to be fair, the thing sounds like a bloody furnace, and this microphone is pointing directly at it.
Yeah, I guess turn it the other way. Yeah, give yourself.
Well, I can't because there's one window and it's right there, so I have to.
No, I meant the SM. Maybe use the SM7B because it's pointed the other direction.
Yeah, well, I could, and then I'd have to open up Pro Tools and do that every time.
I feel your pain, man. Like, that sounds horrible. Life is difficult.
Shut up.
Which
here's the thing,
$500 mic should I use, man?
Because of how my system is rigged up right now, I can't. This is going to sound so counterintuitive. I can't open Pro Tools unless I'm on the VPN for work, which is annoying because I can't do a bunch of other stuff while I'm on the VPN. So
why is Pro Tools only on the VPN? Do you only have it on your work computer?
I have to probably delete my preferences, the Pro Tools preferences folder, like trash the prefs, as people in the biz say. Because when I'm not on the VPN, I think it's that Pro Tools is looking for network drives that don't exist anymore because when I'm off the VPN. So I think that's the issue. Because I have a bunch of stuff that automatically maps when I jump on the VPN. So when I'm off, Pro Tools probably says, "Oh, what's in Drive T?"
Yeah, and it just
it just sits there. Yeah, it seizes up. Every time. Like I tried to make a 15-second spot once while I was off the VPN. It took me 2 hours just because it kept freezing every 5 seconds. Annoying.
Audio-Technica AT-M40X were the most uncomfortable headphones I ever used until I replaced the pads. I had the M40FS. Oh yeah, I loved my discontinued ATH M40FS. I had the M40FS. Those were the most comfortable. I still have them. There's some around here. I got to resolder because they came off on the plug. I still have to resolder those, but the ear muffs are like completely shredded. Like they've lost all of their faux leather, so it feels gross when you put them on, and they just
you could probably if you were really had too much time on your hands, you could probably reupholster them.
Well, no, you can actually order new ones.
Yeah. Well, in fact, some of them, like my 840s and my 940s, came with extra ear cups.
I'm getting the 840s for that reason, and I'm probably going to order some because the 940s don't have the velours, the 840s don't. So I'm going to order some aftermarket velour ones for the 840s because I'm not paying the extra for the 940s for fucking velour.
Well, you don't just get velour. The sound is better.
I know, obviously. But the difference in price is ridiculous. How much better is the price? Because the big difference outside of sound,
you get much. They're the elastic on them, or I should say, the retention on the headpiece is tighter but not uncomfortable because it's got the velour. So the sound that escapes is much less.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It conforms to your ear a lot better, and the bass is a lot clearer. So I've honestly found that as far as closed back earphones are concerned, the only headphones that are closed back that I would be, other than something stupid like this Sennheiser HD 700s or something, the only headphones that I'd be comfortable in reasonable price range to master something on would be the 940s.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has to be open back.
I'm not mastering any music. So I'm okay for that. I want something that's going to last long term, have great sound, because I am noticing on these, the response on these is horrible now. I don't know what's blown out, but I'm fine.
I think it's just they have acclimatized to your, the air pressure and everything, and it sure does say that. But most headphone companies admit that when you buy headphones, it takes them a certain amount of days, 90 days, I think, or whatever, to adapt and everything to balance out to the new environment.
Yeah, but these now everything sounds the same on these, and it's gotten to the point where I was doing a mic comparison, and I was testing the mics before I shot the video. I'll wait till you get your cans on. There you go.
Oh, that feels so much better. Oh,
Shut
my God.
So I was doing a mic test before I shot the video. And I was doing the side-by-side on the mics, and they sounded exactly the same. And the mic test I was doing was the Behringer XM8500S, or XM8500 versus the SM58. So, Dylan, pay attention here.
Sidetracked.
XM8500 and the SM58 sounded the same in these headphones.
That's not right.
No.
I mean, they're both
no, that's bad.
Yeah, they're both not great mics, but there's still a difference. Most people have cited some kind of a difference.
There's a huge difference between the
when
two.
you sent me the AB clip and I listened to them on my not very expensive studio monitors, I heard a difference.
You should hear a difference between the 8500 and the SM58 by a long shot. There's a big difference. And it's not hard to pick out the difference. It's like the difference between the 1800S and the 8500. Very big difference. I can't hear them in these. So these are serviceable to talk to people, and that's what I use them for.
And they're serviceable. Like if I'm like, I had somebody come in a while back to record some lines for like a phone system, and they had to go in the booth, so I just tossed them the 440s and whatever. The only thing I do find about these is they're very like mine. This may be some kind of they're crinkly.
Yes.
Like this sound, I can hear that. Like I had somebody on the U87, and I was listening to it. Yeah, it's gross, and especially again on the U87, it was being trimmed down to like 8 kilohertz for the phone line, 8 kilohertz sample rate.
Yeah.
So you couldn't hear most of it because it's a lot of high frequency crap. But I was still like, man, good thing I didn't have him recording like a proper vocal in here because that is not passable.
Was he moving them around? Was he hand over them or something?
No, he was standing still. He didn't.
Really?
He was reciting from memory.
I can
He wasn't
hear
moving.
it.
Yeah, it's gross.
I can hear that. I've never even paid attention to that.
It's
no,
gross.
but I can hear it when I move my mouth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because your head moves, right? Because your jaw moving up and down causes it.
I've never even thought of that. David says I still use my Sennheiser HD 400s.
Look at that. Look how cheap that looks, though. Once you take the cup off and they've got this little. I mean, I get it. They're trying to make an acoustic cavity in there, but it just looks not
still
good.
Also, they're still like they're 150 Canadian dollars, man.
Well, compared to the 940s, that's not that much.
Yeah, but that's still $150 for a set of cans that you're supposed to be able to mix with.
I have mixed with the 440s before, and I've gotten some good results. Mind you, again, that's after years of working with them and being aware of the sonic bias. So like my head knows, okay, it's there's a bump around 4.5K.
Yeah.
Factor that into my mixing decisions. But
no kidding.
I certainly would check them on other places.
Ms. Ravioli says, hello, everyone.
Hello.
I got to know, how do you get the name Ms. Ravioli? What do you have to do in life?
See, now I'm hungry.
To get the name Ms. Ravioli. If you don't make a killer pasta something. I was
going to say, yeah, you gotta be good at making ravioli.
Well, I mean, but what is, like, if you were to be using that name as not maybe a literal name, but maybe referencing something else, I have no idea how that comes into play. Like, how do you get the nickname Ms. Ravioli? Like,
Ms. Ravioli.
I've got a few buddies who, like, one guy, his nickname's Cornflake, and we know why he got the name Cornflake.
How did he get the name?
He's
Cornflake?
An idiot.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Am I Cornflake? Is that what have I been? Am I the one? That's
No. Yeah. I'm gonna call you the idiot when I'm calling you to come on my channel and explain things that I can't. Yeah, you're the idiot.
Well, I mean, we're all idiots here, right? That should be the tagline.
I also had a boss, Cornbread.
Did he always bring in like a loaf of cornbread or something?
No, he just was also he was always grumpy and stuff. I think they just called him Cornbread to irritate him. I still want to know how you get the name Ms. Ravioli. David says I still use my Sennheiser HD 400s. They're older than you guys.
Yeah. Sennheiser headphones. I have never owned them, but I have used them. Studios carry them all the time, and they are good. They are good shit.
I ended up getting the 280s, which aren't very expensive. And I gave them to my daughter, and I kept the Audio-Technica AT40X or FS or whatever they were. And then I was like, I saw how mine deteriorated and hers didn't. And I got jealous. They're so much nicer than the Sennheisers. I can't, I didn't have them long enough to know how they were side by side with the Audio-Technica, but I do know that they were a lot more comfortable, and that kind of annoyed me. Bangs, Naughty Bits. I own the ATH MSR7. Nice cans and most important feature for headphones. They look gorgeous.
Yep.
Is that the most important thing?
I mean, it's not, but like we talked before about like the worker bee in that, and it's aesthetics.
Well, I don't find like the headphones on your head right now look ridiculous. Because they're off kiltered to one side. Like you can tell they just need to be evened out.
They can't be though because I've had to epoxy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I've had to epoxy them, so they can't be. They're always going to be off.
Mine are. I have such a gigantic head that they always look like. Just I don't know. I'm not a big fan, but that's why I don't shoot videos with cans on.
Often I find that like if you're out in public and you've got like with the new AirPods Max or whatever.
Oh yeah,
which are getting horrible reviews, and I'm really happy about it.
No, they're getting horrible reviews because of the price to performance, which
is nothing, and the look.
No.
I mean, they look like something that somebody created in 1982.
Yeah,
like they're not in with the times. Apple, what is with your aesthetics?
Bang says NBR looks sell a lot of audio gear. Think SMCB. All right. Midnight Wolf, how's it going? I use Q2U. No one sees it, and tone deaf people like me sounds great. The Q2U actually doesn't sound bad. Okay, so if you were to put that's like saying the 8500 doesn't sound bad. The XM8500, it really doesn't. And price to performance, the Q2U has killer price to performance. Yeah, lots of bass in the Q2U, not bad beyond that. Well, we ran out of comments. Are you okay over there?
I am so not happy that I took this ear cup
I've
off
never taken them off until I have to put a new one on.
It does not want to get back on. I just took it off to examine the state of the pleather all the way around, and now it just does not want to get back on.
That's why I've never taken these off, because the Audio-Tech, the M40FS, when I had to rewire it, because I had to solder inside the ear cup.
Yeah.
And so I had to take them off.
That's like these. If you ever have to replace on any of the Shure headphones that are closed back, if you ever have to replace the end, like if this extension arm breaks or something, which is a very common thing that happens with the Shure headphones. Sure, get on that.
What are they going to do?
I've had 2 pairs of premium headphones by you die for that exact reason. Get on it.
So here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. You're sitting at your work desk, right? And what are your day-to-day? What are your daily drivers for just sitting at your desk doing prod? What are you wearing?
Well, I don't use headphones. Again, even if I'm recording, I don't use headphones.
When you're using headphones, what's your daily driver that you use the most?
Yes.
Okay. When you're done, where do you put them?
I have a hook beside my desk that they sit on.
See, now, I have that as well. I put the hook underneath my desk right beside
Now, in my case, my hook is one of those, those hangers that you can get for pictures that go onto the wall that have those long, skinny bolts. I just hammered 2 of those into the side of the MDF on my desk.
Okay, that sounds less impressive. I got an actual headphone hanger that you screw into the bottom of your desk.
Overpriced.
It's $12.
Still overpriced. You know how much? I got $12. Probably that whole box of like 100 picture hangers was probably about $12.
By the way, Ms. Ravioli, you still haven't gotten back to us where you got your name from. I just love the name.
You just had to call. You just want to make a point there.
No. She said hello, so I just wanted to know. That's a cool
Hi.
name. There's got to be a story behind the name.
Well, we said that about Bang's Naughty Bits, and we never got an answer to that one.
Bangs has never told us about the story. I'm guessing I know what Bang's Naughty Bits story is about.
It sounds
about baking.
Definitely.
So I've got the hook underneath my desk, and I do that because at one of the first radio stations I worked at, that's how they stored all of the headphones. So for me, I'm so used to reaching down when I'm going on air and throwing the headphones on that it feels weird. I can't put them on top of my desk because desk real estate. I mean, you don't have room on your desk and you knock them over.
I used to have that problem.
But the problem with the hook is, as I'm turning to get up, you knock the things off. So I'm trying to find do I take them off and put them away each time? I was thinking about right behind the monitor having my headphones all lined up on the wall. Mm-hmm. So every time I go to sit down, I just grab them off, plug in the cord, and go. Because I'm breaking my headphones every time I drop them on the floor.
Especially if they're Shures. One thing about Shures that at least their open backs are different because the extension is metal.
Yeah.
But with these, the biggest structural point of failure on Shure headphones is that extension piece. So when you take the headphones, and now this is what they recommend. This is what the repair guy on the phone actually recommended to me, which makes sense. But at the same time, I'm not going to do it. Is every time you take the phones off your head is to collapse them again cinch them up so that the extension arm is protected back inside the elastic headband, which makes sense. But like that's not part of my routine. It's gonna take me a while to get used to that.
I could see if you have booth ones that you'd hang them on a hook on the wall and walk away. Like you just unplug them from the ear right here.
Yeah,
you hang them on the wall and you walk away. So I think that's something I'm going to look into because I love the Shoreline.
Yeah, I do too. I think they sound great. They're comfortable. They're reasonably priced. For the most part, even the 940s, like compare them to the HD 700s.
Yeah,
like over $2,000.
Red Cabin Acoustic says HD 202 for editing radio. I think those are the ones that I had that I gave to my daughter. They're quite nice. Very comfortable. Yeah. And COS Pro 4A vintage for mixing. COS. I haven't heard the name COS in years.
Like COS is in KOSS?
Yes.
I used to have a pair of PC speakers that were COS.
Did they have anything that was good?
Again,
Boss
does.
Boss, yeah.
the other one that's similar, but I always got them mixed up.
Bangs has a spring-loaded hook on his bookshelf to my side. That sounds nice. Anyways, I love how people are like chiming in with where they put their headphones. I have a kind of a drawing pin and string for headphones, cables, stopwatch, dog clicker, etc.
Yeah, I don't even care. Like in my case, I already have a bunch of sort of pins in various strategic points throughout the desk to coil up cables and shit. So it made sense just on the one side where I'm always reaching.
I'm working on doing that. So what I'm doing is I've got a 7-foot desk that I built for the channel. It's too small now, my 7-foot desk, and I do want to get the Mac with a separate monitor and all that. So I'm building myself a 14-foot desk. And I'm taking this desk, and this is going to be the desk that I present videos from. So instead of my workbench here, it's going to be the desk. So the 7-foot desk will be over there, which also means the microphone won't shake when I accidentally bump the desk when I'm doing a video, which annoys the hell out of me. So I'm going to get that nice long desk. And with that, I also want to get some mounting points for headphones and stuff, and as well as mounting points for cables, because my cables basically get thrown in a pile at the end of the day. And I know that's going to make Dylan shudder, but I don't have because everything I want to do down here, I want it to be semi-permanent. I don't want to be like moving shit around every 2 months, because that annoys the hell out of me.
Well, like there's, again, most of my rig is pretty permanent, at least, as much as you can consider anything permanent. But at the same time, like mic cables and patch cables and stuff, that stuff is constantly being plugged in, unplugged in, wrapped and unplugged in, plugged in and wrapped and all that. So like I've got drawers that have everything separated. They're all coiled. They're all wrapped with Velcro. It's all just very well so that when I need to do something, I can just reach into the box, grab that, and grab that.
See,
Nothing's...
You can't see this yet, but everyone else can. I've got a big shelf here full of all the microphones, all of the cables, all of the gear that I use for this channel. And that's starting to, like, that's is that a 7-foot? And it's already filled up.
It's one of those Canadian Tire jobs, eh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's cheap, which is why I like it, but it's also full of, like, a ton of stuff. Like, the microphones alone are more than one thing there. So I need to start expanding out my, I guess, storage.
Your riggage.
The space that I have for storage is so tight. XM8500 are brilliant for the price. Yes, definitely worth way more. I have that shelf for my fat cat as a cat tree. If my cat got on this shelf, it would be game over. I need to actually anchor this to the wall.
Good idea.
Always having a hard time to translate this 7-foot measures into the metric system. 7 feet is basically
It's funny because we're in a country that is supposed to...
No, that'd be more like 2.3 meters. 2 meters. 2.3 meters, I would say, right?
2.3 meters for 7 feet?
Yeah.
Maybe about, yeah. I forget the multiplier.
Maybe a boot. Maybe a boot. A little bit more.
Maybe a boot, bud.
Everyone, let me know what's. That's a pretty large desk. 7 foot? Yeah, no, 7 feet desk. 7-foot desk. Well, I'm 6 feet tall, so if I were to lay down, it's a foot taller than me. And yeah, we're Canadian. We're still using the foot measurement.
Well, construction in Canada still I mean, when you buy a 2x4.
Construction everywhere, no? Like, is there a construction that
well,
measure
I don't know,
millimeters?
but like, what about like Japan? Well, not millimeters, but maybe like centimeters and
Bangs
millimeters doesn't sound helpful.
Yeah, Bangs says I measure by hands per hogshead, and I like it. That's a good measurement. It's a good measurement. No, I've worked in construction too, and I like the idea of using centimeters and. No thanks.
Fucking finally, Jesus.
Are you okay? So are you back? Are you back in the game?
God. That was the worst.
We've lost all those viewers because of you, man.
Because I'm sitting here trying to get my damn that is like stupid. Why?
So are you back?
Finally. And I'm leaving the 940s on now because I'm just used to them. They feel so good.
So I'll get the 940s because I do have like a headphone video that I wanted to do. What to look for in headphones, that kind of stuff.
Did I ever talk about how these got snapped?
Yeah, because they if they're hanging and they don't hit the floor, they snap.
Yeah, it's like it acted like this. The cable attached to it literally acted like a noose, and just punk.
The weight of the headphones kills it. Yeah.
So that's a thing. If you're ever gonna get these types of headphones, if they're gonna fall on the floor, don't grab the cable and try to pull them back. Just let them hit the floor.
Yeah. Well, the problem is when they hit the floor, it sounds like they're dead. Every single time you're like, and I've got a.
It's a horrible feeling. I've got an area rug, thankfully, around my desk, so anywhere that I could possibly drop these headphones, they're gonna hit a carpet, which is good. But
Vlog Booty from Malaysia. Hi, Vlog. NASA used English measurements on the rockets to get a probe to Mars and metric for the probe itself to land, and someone forgot to tell their... Oh, that is a horrible story. I love that story, but that's also one of those stories where you're like, oh, like I think it was in the billions for the probe and all that crap. The amount of money, just the whole mission to like have the thing like crater itself. Because they mismeasured. That's just painful.
Oh boy.
Right, I'm gonna have to drink. I'll refrain from offensive comments. David, you can offend us all you like.
Measure once, build twice. That's NASA's
NASA's Mars
modus operandi.
I think it was the Mars Explorer. Oh, that was painful. Try living in a mobile home and having to use your 10-foot DJing trailer for your studio due to no room. Oh man. Oh, that sucks. You know what? And I got to say, like, I'm very fortunate. We bought this house last year, and I kind of commandeered the basement. For the first 9 months we lived here, my son actually lived back in there, and I had a curtain drawn in between. So my studio was about 7 feet wide.
Yeah, go back and watch. We got lives from that era if anyone's interested.
It was bad.
You can see how pinched it was.
It was not good. So I got fortunate when he moved out. I have a lot more room. Now my wife is still trying to make me claim all this area as kind of like a family area. I'm trying to figure out a way to like maybe put shelves all along it so I can like line it with microphones and like gear that I just keep building up and can't get rid of. Because you'd be amazed. You got to keep all the microphones. You can't sell them. So it's a pain.
Selling microphones can be tough because I mean it is, especially like this RE20 I just got like hand me down from the radio station, and when I got it, it just reeked like this. Somebody had been smoking into this thing for like 20 years.
That's
like,
nasty.
It smelled like gross.
Smokes around their microphones.
On air people. Like we're talking back in the radio era, the 80s hookers and blow era, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking the heyday of radio. So, people didn't give a shit. And I remember I think I told you I heard like a bunch of rattling in the mic, and then I unscrewed the head of it, and all this fucking just these shreds, like the insulation on the inside of the mic, the foam had literally disintegrated because of the smoke.
Well, that was the same thing that happened to me with the Shure 515 SA. Was when I took the cap off, the smell assaulted me, and then the insulation that was inside the ball head just kind of like trickled out, and I felt sick for about a week after that. Like I did not feel well because I breathed some of it in. Like, that can't be good for you. I'm pretty sure I got a nicotine high from it, too. Like,
you don't even need a dart. Just whiff your mic and you're good.
No, the smell is so bad. I have a hard time being around that microphone now and talking into it because you catch a little sense of it. Oh,
God,
It still turns my stomach to this day. Remember, Elwood sold the Bluesmobile for a mic. His brother understood. Yeah, it's true. I actually do plan on. I'm starting my band up again.
Are you?
That I'm going to actually get some jam buddies in, and we're going to start jamming out.
Do we get to know what the genre?
Oh, it's just going to be like the rock kind of crap and blues and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Probably ending up with a PRS. So
nice.
I was looking through used guitars on Facebook Marketplace. You know how many people sell Schecters? Like I like the concept of the Schecter guitar. They're very metal though. And they have a very metal sound. Everything stock about them, they're meant to be shredded and all this stuff. And I don't really want that. My favorite guitar is a Gibson Les Paul. That is one of the most versatile guitars you can play. Well, Fender maybe the Strat.
You can't really sit with it comfortably. I mean,
you can.
It's more comfortable than the Flying V, but it's not designed to be sat with. I mean, Les Paul,
I don't mind sitting with it.
Les Paul admitted that its waist is too
exaggerated. It's bottom heavy, so it likes to fall back.
Whoop. Yeah. Well, especially if you get an unchambered Les Paul. Wow.
Well, that was my old one. My old one used to be unchambered, and yes, your shoulders hurt.
Gibson started making them again, eh? The non-chamber, the solid body Les Pauls. Yep, I saw 2 at Long and McQuaid here in London.
Just the standards,
no, it was a standard.
Okay,
and it weighed like a ton, as you expect. Like it felt like I was holding a cinder block.
The weight is comforting. Like when you're on stage, that weight kind of makes you feel like you're in it, right? Like you become part of the guitar.
At the same time, you're probably gonna have back problems by the time you're 36.
Oh, I threw my shoulder out at one of the shows. Yeah. Because I was doing this with the strap, getting the strap kind of up and over, and oh my god, my shoulder was shot.
My Les Paul is like halfway in between. It's like, it's a studio, but it's like, it's still chambered, but it's still got like a decent weight to it.
Yeah. What year is that?
This is 2008, I think.
Because the 07 is when they stopped doing the unchambered.
Oh, so this would have been right after.
Yep. That was when I bought the last year. I bought the last year of unchambered studio Les Pauls. And I got to say, but I do want to move up to standard if I'm going to go back to Les Paul.
I only use that thing in the studio because that particular Les Paul has been specifically adjusted for like slide work. So the action is crazy on it.
Yeah,
is really low or really high action, but it's a studio, and that's like I don't care what the studio looks like because it's only ever really going to be used in the studio.
Yeah, no, I used to play live with the studio. It was a great guitar. The only difference between the studio and the standard is body binding.
Yeah.
Which doesn't do anything for the sound of the guitar, by the way. Oh, okay, they have the Alnico Pro 2s in them instead of the other ones. So
you can just swap those in aftermarket,
right? Like
not
there's
a big deal.
I think the tuners and all that stuff were the same thing. Like they were just one level down. But all that shit you can replace. It's the body that matters, and the only difference was the body binding. So for me, at the time I bought it for 1,000 Canadian. The standard was 2,200, and I wasn't going to spend an extra $1,200 to have body binding. Like that.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're paying for the aesthetic, which makes sense. I mean, the studio's design, it's like it doesn't have that signature Les Paul 3-ply around the outer layer and the crazy sunbursts that they come. Well, although you can get studios now with sunburst styling on them, but.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to buy a guitar right now, your one guitar, this is your one go-to. This is what I'm going to have. Would you go PRS? Would you go Gibson or Fender?
So pretending I don't have, the 10 of them that are over there right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Shut up.
for what I do, for the kinds of stuff that I'm doing, probably Gibson.
Gibson.
Yeah.
I really love the PRS. I love the
I do too. Again, if I added it to my current assortment of sounds, it would certainly fill a gap for certain genres. But if I had no other guitars, especially like, using a Gibson substitute to getting that warmth for like acoustic stuff. Because again, we're cutting acoustics out of the equation too, so I wouldn't have my prized possession at my disposal. But Gibson's, the warmth can kind of lend itself to some nicer sort of
that's true
tones.
All right, I'll go Gibson. Midnight Wolf, I would hate to smell my karaoke SM58s from a year of use. Have to clean my windscreens just because of smell. Oh man, do you not brush your teeth, Midnight? Oh, it's because everyone else is karaoke. Sorry,
it's probably 20 years of beer breath.
Yeah,
going into a karaoke mic.
People at the bar are probably not flossing that night. So come on, I mean,
and getting like pieces of chicken wing in the grill.
God, gross. David says, I got an Epi Firebird. It's really difficult to stand up with. Johnny Winter must have been 7 feet tall. And then he says, "Ooh, nice get, Dylan." Yeah, there's something about the Les Paul Standard and the Les Paul.
Well, it's just probably one of the, like, other than the Strat, which is also a very recognizable, even for people that don't play guitar. The Les Paul is just a very recognizable, and just the way, like the contour of the body, the way the light reflects off it, it's just so signature.
I prefer the feel of it when on stage than a Fender. I don't like the Fender feel. It feels too small.
Honestly, in my collection, my Strat, sonically, it's the most versatile.
Yeah,
it can achieve more sounds than, and especially it's a VG Strat back when Fender and Roland teamed up to create the digital Strat, basically. So it's capable of so many tones, but it plays badly. It is the worst. I use it for practicing because going from that to literally any other guitar. But that said, I've got my my Deluxe Telly, which is still one of my go-tos. The Telly, the Deluxe Telly plays amazingly.
Yeah, but can the Strat gent?
In some of the, like a regular Strat couldn't, but with the digital humbucker simulation.
Oh, you've got the digital humbucker. Yeah.
Well, it's again, Roland put all kinds of crazy stuff in that guitar, so it's armed to the teeth with. There's even, you can digitally change the tunings on it, like to baritone guitar setting, like B, E, A, D, like like a full. Awesome. Yeah, so you can gent on that thing.
Bangs. Oh, I only have a crappy short Strat now. There's nothing wrong with a crappy short
again,
Strat.
I still think the Stratocaster is the most varied sort of tone of a guitar. I mean, just the setup of that guitar sonically, you can get so much variety. That said, I've played a GNL Strat, like Leo's new company, Fender's new company, and the GNL Strats play amazingly. The tone is so juicy, and the action is like it plays so well. But like a Fender Strat, I've never really been impressed.
Well, you look at like even Jeff Healey did not like the Fender Strat. He liked the Squier because of the build quality,
and he's literally just going by feel.
Well, and that's the thing. And he all he did was he had a guy out of Vancouver that used to wind his pickups for him. So he would take all the pickups out, unwind them, and have his guy rewind them for him, and that's how he got his signature sound. Was like he only used a $300 guitar his whole career.
So Bangs, when you say is it a Fender Strat or is it like one of the many knockoff
short
Strats?
Strat? What does that mean by short Strat?
I think it like the neck is probably shorter.
Oh, it's the short. Okay,
it's like as opposed to the big block fret, it's like a small block.
David says, I made a Strat kit this year. I really like it. Swapped all the supplied bits for reasonable ones. Nice. I really want to. One of my dreams is, and they offer it here up in Quebec, is the chance. What's the name of the guitar place? But you build your own acoustic.
You live there and you still call it Quebec?
Quebec.
There you go.
Quebec.
I
want to build my own acoustic. I want to actually get into doing some luthier stuff, but it's time. Like that's the stuff where you're like, am I going to devote like?
That's an investment. That is a money and a time investment. That's a big
one. It's $6,000, but you get a custom made guitar.
It's worth it, but at the same time, it's like that's a commitment. You have to commit to that.
Well, you get 1 year to build it. And so it can take you 2 weeks to build it, or it can take you a full year. But then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I really want it, but then I don't have really time to do anything, especially build a guitar. It was a very abused in its previous life. It's a Fender. Aw. Midnight Wolf has a Dean guitar, and only because it felt better with my left wrist problems. Dean's, I don't mind Dean's.
Yeah. I've played some on the shelf.
Honestly,
off the shelf.
I gotta say, like, when it comes to guitars, my best guitar of all time was $900. So, I mean, it doesn't really, I had a buddy who, the Ibanez. That's actually a close second. I love Ibanez. I love the feel
honestly,
of Ibanez.
Ibanez, they weird me out because their price tags are always really low. But then, again, that active bass that I just bought like a month and a half ago, it's Ibanez. It's like $350, and it sounds gorgeous, and it plays like amazing.
Ibanez has great action. They have there's no issues with Ibanez.
I don't understand.
Well, I mean, they're run off a press, right? Like they're basically they have a CNC machine that they put a big chunk of wood in, and out comes a guitar.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
basically how they're built. And
that's I mean, that's how Fenders are built now too.
Well, that's how the
and
non-American made.
Yeah.
Right, like the American maids are still
They're still hand built. Yeah. The Yamaha Pacifica. I haven't played one, but I've heard really good things about it. I mean, what's his face there? Warren Hewitt from Produce Like a Pro. He swears by his Yamaha Pacifica. Yeah. And he's, I respect Warren a lot. So if he has good things to say about it, I'm into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on you.
No, this one is in fact quite crappy. It's nice. Dimebag, Darren Lowe.
You're getting them in a weird order. Like I'm seeing them come in an order and you're like reading up.
David, I got an Affinity off our Craigslist. Better than I thought it would be. Probs change things out eventually. An Affinity.
Affinity. I have no idea.
I have no idea either. Dimebag, My Luthier, Kinnall Guitars, Vancouver, Canada, Neil Douglas Guitar Shop, New Westminster.
Minster, BC. Westminster. I have some guitars that I would not trust in the hands of somebody that, like I'm not just gonna give it to any old guitar loser. It's gonna be one of the people that I know that they know what they're doing and handle with care. Because I've heard too many horror stories about $8,000 guitars being just obliterated by a luthier that had no idea what they were doing and worked for some one-off guitar shop.
DeJong School of Luthery, hands-on guitar making course. I don't think that's the one unless they Lucin? A Lucin guitar, Loucin. No, they're really, really nice.
Lucien guitars?
Is it Lucien? I know it's just Lucin, I believe.
Lucin.
Hello.
Sounds so Anglo.
Lucin guitars. There it is. Custom handcrafted acoustics. And I've played them before. This is Oakville. The one was in Quebec anyways. I've played them before. I played their $15,000 one. The one that it's just a ridiculous price.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think Taylor's most expensive guitar.
You get a handmade guitar, like everything is handmade.
Yeah.
Like you're going to pay $15,000 for it.
Back when I used to do sort of PD work, programming stuff for a music festival, there was a guy that used to come there, and in the last year that I did it, he had started building his own guitars, and I asked him what he used to build it, and he said the only electric tool that he used to make this was a light bulb.
Yep.
And I was like, and I played it, and it was a very weird guitar, but it was just so different, and the action was amazing, and its sound was unique, and
it almost plays itself. It's like, oh my God.
But I mean, again, this wasn't the kind of guitar you'd see in a guitar store. Like he had carved this out of a single piece of wood in a tree. Like nothing was like laminated or anything.
Like the neck too, or did he have
it was all one piece of wood, one tree.
Holy
one tree, and he just cut out a piece of wood, hollowed it. Like it was an amazing piece of work, and he had done it all with hand tools. There wasn't any kind of craziness.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's gonna cost a few pennies. David says Squire Affinity. I've never heard of the Squire Affinity.
I don't know. I've heard of Squire stuff. I mean, I just know of their like the same products. Like they have Squire Strat, Squire this and that.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Trust is the thing with your babies. Fender's cheap line. Fender's cheap line is the Squire Affinity. I know the Squire used to be their cheap line. And Don says hello, everyone. Hello. Don. Welcome to the chat.
Hello.
I like how Don walks in and says hello, everyone, and the chat dies. That's not how it usually is, Don.
That is no. It's I mean, scroll up and you'll see.
Oh, Affinity is plywood body.
Oh dear.
Interesting.
Like,
plywood in itself is about. Don says sorry. No, it's okay, Don. It wasn't you, brother. It wasn't you.
No. No, I'd be interested to see how plywood would sound.
No, I don't just like the characteristics of it are going to be unique.
It will be. I don't know if it's something that I'm gonna like, but I am interested to hear.
Well, but then you see like there's guitars being built. I saw the one that was all epoxy.
Yes, I saw that too on YouTube.
An epoxy guitar.
It was like clear. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have like the ones where they do. I saw the one. It's a bunch of crayons. Or it was the pencil crayons. Yeah, the colored pencils, whatever you want to call them.
There's a couple on YouTube, guys. That there's that guy, and then there's another guy I saw recently. I think he's from somewhere in Europe, and he does just really obscure things to pianos. Like he got a piano, and he replaced all of
obscure things to pianos.
Yes.
Watch my channel. It's on Pornhub.
No. So I saw two videos. One, he took three videos. One, he took an upright piano, replaced the strings with bass strings, like bass guitar strings.
I remember seeing that.
And then another one, he took fishing line. And then another one, he replaced the felt hammers and actually put like actual hammers on the end, like cut off the like 100 and some odd hammers and put them. And it sounded really cool. And the best part is he gets like a piano tuner to come in and try to guess what he did to the piano. And this guy, every time this guy comes in, is like, oh God.
Oh, here's one for you. Dimebag Darren Lowe with the hottest take I've seen in a while. Tonewood is a myth.
Yep, myth.
You think so?
Yep.
Why?
I haven't really, like, I don't know. I've seen the marketing wank, and then I've played one.
Yeah?
And I haven't really found any noticeable difference between, like, spruce.
All right.
Personally.
Maybe I just haven't. So we're talking about Tonewood,
again,
Adirondack.
Maybe it is a thing. It's just I haven't found it to make a huge difference.
Well, Tonewood is generally talking about specific wood varieties.
Yeah, but I mean there are guitars that are marketed with like premium tone. Now, if you're talking about the tone of wood, yes, quantifiably it is not a myth. The different types of wood have different sounds.
Yes,
it's very well documented concept, but the idea of like, you know, that there's some woods, I forget, somebody was talking about like silver birch as being silver birch because of the oils in it. That's what I was thinking. Like the idea that Tonewood is a myth. Well, no, the different woods do impart the
tones.
tone. But
resonance. You have a bunch of stuff involved with that.
Well, just the density of the wood, the composition of like the molecular composition of the wood. They all factor in the sound.
Premium.
Like the thing is like someone was trying to argue that like silver birch is perfect for everything and it is just an all-encompassing tone, and it's like, well, like, I mean, the idea of wood having tone, I mean, compare a spruce guitar to a koa wood guitar. Vastly different sounds. They could have the same body type, same manufacturer, vastly different sounds.
Yeah.
Koa wood is very, very mid-rangey, and spruce is a little bit more trebly.
But you can put pots in it that change the sound quality of it. I mean, honestly, it's your pickups that really impact it the most.
Well, okay, so if we're talking, I'm more thinking acoustics.
Oh, from an acoustic perspective, yeah.
Acoustics, I think in the case of electrics, I think wood has much less of a bearing because really the only thing, because again, pickups don't pick up wood.
No, but the vibrations, the
resonance, yes. The resonance is a huge factor. That's why with the chambered versus non-chambered Les Pauls, non-chambered, they resonate for much longer. So, you don't need to compress them. They just have that natural ring out to them, whereas the chambered versions generally don't.
Yeah.
But with the acoustics, the type of wood makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll give you that. It's Midnight Wolf and Dawn. That's like to see that. It's friends. We're making friends here at Dark Corner Studios. Nicer wood costs more for sure. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Like if I was to buy, I love natural wood guitars. Like I'm talking electrics. Mm-hmm. So if there's a guitar that looks really sexy with just a nice little bit of lacquer on it and ship it off,
maybe stained a little bit and then lacquered.
I'll pay extra for that. I like that look. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's also there's also the type of wood you use on the neck, the feel of it, all that stuff.
The neck wood I have found, like for example, and a lot of times it's the finish too. Like I've got my my SG, which is one of my go-to like studio and like live guitars, my Gibson, and it's got a very polished back of the neck.
Oh, I
and
hate that.
It's very sticky, especially when you're like it's warm and humid and your hands get all gross. Whereas the Strat, because it's got a very matte finish, like you can glide around that. You don't need to lubricate it at all.
Oh, the one thing I hated about my Gibson Les Paul was the sticky back. I almost took some sandpaper to it, but you end up getting used to it. But then if you ever go to like a something like a Fender neck that isn't glossy, it's night and day. The difference is amazing.
So Darren is now qualifying, Dimebag Darren is qualifying the tone wood as a misstatement. So I will agree that I think for the most part, tone wood, is a bit of a myth. I think, as Andrew and I were just talking about, the resonances. So if you've got a wood that's very bass resonant, you playing your bass strings or the lower strings, the more tenor strings on your electric, the bass response of the wood will resonate and will cause the strings to so your bass strings will have more resonance than your treble strings. So there are differences. Are the differences massive? Not really.
No, like you're not gonna. But that's why when you look at the difference between the Les Paul Studio, the Les Paul Standard, and the Les Paul Custom, a lot of the shit that they're running down your throat between the three is wood selection, body binding, and crap that means nothing to the guitar.
Oh yeah, or the Les Paul HP, the very elusive high performance Les Pauls that I've actually played one. A friend of a friend of mine actually bought one when Gibson was almost bankrupt, and they were really, really cheap.
Nice.
And it's like now the guitar that it's like a $7,000 Les Paul. And it's armed to the teeth with features like, oh my God, this thing is nuts. And it comes in like a solid, like stainless steel gig case with Gibson written on it. Like, it's ridiculous, this guitar.
It better be servicing you while you play it. If it's going to cost that much money and all it is just a...
But so I played it. So this is what I'm getting at. I played it, and yes, it came with all the bells and whistles. But as far as like a guitar goes... It played like your standard Les Paul.
Yeah.
It felt the same. The sound, albeit there were more options because it had more electronic bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It came with the built-in Tronical Tune auto tuners, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Like that came from the shop like that. I'm like, what? I didn't install that aftermarket. But for the price tag, the fact it's like 2/3 more expensive than your typical standard Les Paul.
And the standard is the standard for a reason. And I've always been bothered by the standard versus custom.
Yeah.
Because that's a money grab.
Well, custom is the thing. Like, if you are, I don't know, there's some poor schlubs that get this done anyway. But I think if you're like a touring musician and you've got a decent following and you want to get something that's unique and that it's going to be tied to your brand.
But to just go buy a Les Paul Custom as some average Joe, you're doubling the price of a standard.
So I have to address Darren's thing here. So I actually have, as far as Gibson's Robo tuner. So the original Gibson Robot, which the Les Paul that I just pulled out.
1 second, please. Your call is important to us.
Yeah, this is a Gibson. This is a first generation Gibson Robot, and I don't blame Gibson for this. The tuners are no longer particularly effective. I tune it manually now because it's slow as hell, and even the built-in CPU is lost its MERV. But the company that originally made those aren't Gibson tuners. Gibson did not make those. They tried to with the Firebird X and they failed. But the system was originally by a German company called Tronical, and Tronical's new system, the Tronical Tune Plus, which I have on my Telecaster, somewhat ironically, works amazing. It can change the tuning of my guitar to like from standard A440 to DADGAD in less than 5 seconds.
How much are they?
And be accurate. The Tune Plus, depending on the guitar, I mean, you can get them for a variety of guitars, but I think the price was like $200 or $300.
Oh, that's worth it.
And it's really demonstrated.
There you go. 1 second, please. Your call is important to us.
And the other thing I like about it is it's very low profile. So like this is a standard deluxe telly.
Yep.
And it's get off. And it's you can't tell other than the tuning pegs are the locking mechanism, which is a little different. But other than that, you can't tell. The only place that there's any kind of invasive surgery is at the back, and that console at the back there is just held in by the tuning pegs. So I could take this off anytime, like if I was going to sell this guitar, I could take that off, put the original pegs back on, and nobody would ever know that system was on there. So to tune this, so right now I think this is in a very out of tune something. So I'll tune it to standard and I'll strum it.
Oh, I already did it. Wow, eh? Do you do them one at a time, or do you just strum it?
You can just you can do both. If it's having trouble, like because this system, the old system actually used integrated pickups in the saddle and the bridge. This actually uses microphones or transducers attached to the pegs. So if you're in a really loud, like when I'm saying loud, I mean like a metal practice.
Yeah.
It might have trouble, in which case it'll ask you to go string by string, but even that doesn't really take that long. So now I'm in standard. So watch when I switch to Dadgad here, and watch how fast. So I'm not even going to strum it. And we're in Dadgad.
It just knows, eh?
It just knows. Now it's still got to do some fine tuning. But so all this to say is, back in the Gibson era, when Gibson and Tronical had when they had a business partnership, and this was exclusively a Gibson thing, they were garbage because it was the first generation of the technology, and they hadn't. But this is the 5th generation now of this technology, and honestly, I would. At some point, I will probably get one of those systems on every single guitar that I have, because even acoustics, because the thing is they make them for Taylors, they make them for Gibsons, they make them
You
for...
just blew David's mind. I remember seeing those the first time I saw it when I was at your house. I came over the first time and I started plucking around, and I remember seeing that going, oh, that's cool, but kind of gimmicky. It was also wildly expensive at that time, if I recall. Yeah.
Well, again, at that point, like this... when Gibson was in bed with them, I think, this is a guitar that would have been around $2,000, standard Les Paul Studio. With the system, it adds an extra $800 or $900 on the price tag.
That's dumb.
Yeah, well, and especially for the first gen technology. And the other annoying, like again, there were some things that they kind of goofed up. One of the things, just to go over some of the ridiculous engineering, is the battery. For so there's a CPU at the back of the headstock, and then there's a CPU in the main cavity behind here, and there's one battery. It's in the body. It sends the power through the strings to power the pegs, which is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, and you don't feel it. Like if you put your hands on it while it's tuning, you don't get electrocuted.
Yeah, but that's interference.
But at the same time, like for example, if you're trying to reference tune and you've got a capo.
Yeah.
And it's pressing all these metal strings against these metal frets, it will complain and it'll be like, hey, there's short circuiting, stop pushing on the strings.
But also, doesn't it interfere with the pickups?
No, because when you're playing it regularly, it's not on. Like
it's all turned off. Okay.
Yeah, on the original, the tone knob, which as you can see is this fancy silver knob here, the mic as they called it, you actually pop that up, and that's how you would turn it on, and it would automatically mute the jack. While you're tuning.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, having that going with power through your strings while you're picking up the sound seems dumb.
Yeah. So in the new system, the entire setup is self-contained in this little box. Even the battery, which I love the fact I could just take the battery out, plug it into the charger. The Les Paul, the original robot variant, the way you had to. No, you had to. It took the power. In fact, I have the charger in a desk drawer over there. You had to charge it through the jack.
Oh God, really?
You plugged it had a little charger that had a 1/4-inch output, and then a little tiny jack went into the input of the guitar, and you had to tell the system that it was time to charge. There was an emergency charge mode it would go into if the system was dead, and the charger would just jolt it with power, which doesn't seem healthy.
Jesus.
But yeah, whereas this one, they just said, oh, here's a battery. The battery's got a little charge port on it. Just plug the charger into the battery, you're good to go. And it's like, well, this guitar, I haven't charged this in probably 2 or 3 years.
Oh, wow, eh?
And It's still charged. I don't know how much battery power is in here. But anyway, so
you're giving me ideas for my guitars, man. That's great.
Getting back to Darren's point, I don't have an issue with the idea of Robo tuners. They've really perfected the technology. The original technology certainly had its fair share of flaws, though.
Yeah, fair. All right. We've been going for an hour and a half, so thanks to everyone for joining. I have a feeling when people say hello and I say hello back, then they just kind of shut down and like they don't talk anymore. Everyone's welcome to chat. Have a good chat.
Oh yeah, more than welcome. We're just all having fun, having some Friday night drinks. Some of us.
Oh, John's saying, by the way, loving my P220. Sweet, man. I gotta say, the P220 differential was enough for me. Like, I'm still running the 420 right now. This is kind of almost turned into my main mic. It does have a little bit of a richer tone than the P220. Just a touch.
And the adjustable polar patterns, which we all know how you feel about those.
No, it's not that I don't feel about it, but I don't use them for anything. I'm not micing drum sets. I'm not,
Or recording like sound effects or anything.
Yeah, like there's nothing. Well, I guess maybe if I ever do some Foley, they might come in handy.
Foley.
Yeah, time for chili dogs. You got it, Bangs. I'm making some hot dogs on the barbecue. That's my
I was picking up a piece of paper and a pen, and I was just and the piece of paper, which is this thick, my beer glass is this thick, and it somehow managed to fall and fold its way into my beer glass.
Oh wow. That's
Fucking
awesome.
Fridays, man.
Man, you should make a YouTube channel out of shit like that.
Just stupid bullshit. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Love you, and we'll see you Monday. New video coming up with Fly in the Soup with the new M1 Mac Mini or M1 Mac. Cheers. We'll see you guys then. On flip side.